What's good, everyone? OJ here. Welcome back to another video, and today we're talking about my first impressions of Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity on the Nintendo Switch. I want to make sure that I say this very clearly. There will be no spoilers in this impressions of Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. All of the characters that you will see on screen have already been confirmed for the game, whether it was a Nintendo Switch preview from Nintendo themselves or something that they released via Twitter. So you don't have to worry about characters that you haven't unlocked yet, areas that you haven't seen yet, or things that you haven't accessed yet. So we're just going over my initial impressions from the first hour or two of the game. Future videos on Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity will also be tagged with no spoilers. So I'm just going to be talking about different tips and tricks and different stuff that you can be doing in the game in future videos. But for this one, we're just going to talk about how I feel about the game so far. So there is a lot to unwrap, especially with this style of Warriors game. You can tell just from the beginning, the production value and the budget for this Warriors game was definitely a lot higher than what we got for the original Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition on the Nintendo Switch, or even Fire Emblem Warriors on the Nintendo Switch. So they put a lot of time and effort and care into the art, into the cutscenes, into the animations, into the voice acting. It really does feel like a far more story involved, cutscene heavy type of Legend of Zelda game. The presentation is fantastic. The audio is really good. The graphics are also really good as well. Much improved from what we saw with Fire Emblem Warriors or Hyrule Warriors on the Nintendo Switch. So I have to give them 2 thumbs up on that. I've really been enjoying all the little sound effects and the presentation, like with the map and like just like the Guardian type of stuff, and how everything just recreates itself perfectly in a warrior style of game, but it's Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Everything that you would want to hear or what you think or what you remembered from the game is kind of put in there in little and subtle ways with the presentation, with sound effects and music and remixes. It is phenomenal, and I have to give them kudos for that. I absolutely love the presentation, and that's like the first thing that you notice when you hop into the game and when you go into the areas that you've previously explored. So they did an amazing job with that. Now let's talk a little bit about the game itself and kind of the structure and everything. Obviously, this is a story of where you go back in time from the original Legend of Zelda, right? And what you're doing is that you're fighting the Calamity War. You're fighting a war that pretty much ended the whole, area of Hyrule, and Link had to kind of go back and finish things. But you're fighting 100 years before that with all the champions. So the setup for it makes sense. The gameplay that comes with it makes sense. And now that I'm playing through and I'm hacking and slashing through so many different enemies with the variety of characters here, I'm thinking to myself, like, yes, this was the style of game that they needed to kind of tell the type of story that they're going to have, and also to have the type of gameplay they're looking for with these huge wars, or these huge little mini wars that were going on in one greater big war with Calamity Ganon. So I think it was pretty cool how they got this whole game set up. And if you look at the gameplay, what I've noticed about it is that it's far more individualized, and that's what I love about it so far. They all have their unique abilities and traits. They all have something gameplay wise that sets them apart, not just from animations that look different, which you would see in previous, like, let's say, warrior style games, especially the ones on the Switch, like Hyrule Warriors or Fire Emblem Warriors. They all kind of play the same for the most part, with a little variation, but it would just be different animations. So Y, X, and then you just do this, and then you just do that. Whereas with this game, they each have a unique individual trait that sets them apart. Then on top of that, they each have a unique individual trait within the stasis or within the bombs or their abilities that they can do. So it doesn't feel like it's the same buttons over, or it's the same thing over and over, and then it just basically has like a different animation to it. There's actually strengths and weaknesses per each character that you're going to want to make sure that you exploit, especially when playing on the harder difficulty. Playing the game on hard was the move. The enemies, when it comes to the bosses, hit you a lot harder. You're gonna have to use a lot more strategy. You're gonna have to switch characters a lot more. You can't just spam over and over because they've got super armor. You know, they don't take like the hit stun damage as much when you're fighting mini bosses and normal bosses. And it's going to challenge you just a bit if you're not doing all of the tasks on the overworld map, if you're not upgrading, if you're not leveling up your characters, if you're not unlocking the different things, not going into training, not doing all of that, you're going to struggle through. You're not going to be able to get through because you're gonna, unless you never get hit and stuff, but people are going to be shooting stuff at you. It's just great. Like, it's just great how it's all set up and how it plays with each character. But speaking of the characters, I think a lot of you guys want to know, out of the early cast, who do I like the most? And I'll have to say, it feels like I'm playing with like Raikage from Naruto when I am Urbosa. So far, she is my favorite. I thought maybe Young Impa would be my favorite so far, but no, it's definitely Urbosa. That lightning attack, the way that how she just does it, and she has the meter, which is unique to Urbosa, and how she can just like do these crazy electricity or lightning attacks and then charge it up afterwards. If you charge up the timing just right, you get like a extra bar or extra lightning for your meter. I mean, that type of stuff, like I said, sets it apart from playing as Young Impa, or sets it apart from playing as Link or Zelda or Mipha, and it gives it unique traits for each character. And like I said, it just feels different. Despite you pressing buttons here and there, the flow of the combat and what you do and the individuality of each character feels so different. So far, Urbosa is definitely my favorite, but I have a lot more characters to unlock. No spoilers here, but there are a lot of characters to unlock, and it's not something that you can just unlock easy. Now, Nintendo did give me a preview before the game came out of the final build, and one of the questions that was asked was, okay, well, like, how many characters, you know, are there, or is there going to be a lot of characters? And yeah, there's a lot of characters, and some of them are tough to unlock. You're going to have to really dig deep into the game. So I am loving that. You know, that's something that I definitely look forward to doing, is unlocking all the characters, getting a bunch of different weapons, upgrading, doing all that stuff. And like, this game just has that in spades. Like, you really feel involved in it. I love how they did the upgrading in the game. I love how they did it to where you can level up your characters. You have a fully featured training mode where it goes in through there and you can practice all your different techniques. You can check out all the different weapons that you can have, because based on what weapon you use, obviously you have different types of attacks with Link. You know, Link can just use a variety of weapons and they all perform differently. I mean, some of them are really cool. One of them, you have a two-handed sword, for example, and you do damage to yourself constantly, but you can eat food to recover your health because you're always doing damage to yourself. So these are the unique things that I've seen they put into the game that were just completely different from Hyrule Warriors, completely different from what we saw in Fire Emblem Warriors. They took a lot of time and effort between each weapon, each character, and what that character can do to create a different experience. So I am loving all of that. Now, moving on to something in terms of my impressions, the frame rate has been a lot of talk in terms of things, and I can definitely feel it a bit on some of the levels when there's a ton of enemies on screen, or when they're out in like the big open field. It never gets to the point to where it's unplayable, or to where I'm like, oh my gosh, this frame rate is just so bad, I can't, you know, I can't even move or whatever. Like, let's say, for example, like the original Mass Effect in the 360, you know, like something like that sometimes in some areas when all those little bugs were attacking you in that one area. So it's never that bad, but you could definitely feel it a bit. For some, it might be more annoying than others, and it does run stable most of the time from when I'm playing the game. So it is improved over the demo build, but we'll see if they do anything else for or continue to. But either way, for me, I'm having a blast with the game and I think it's great. Now, there's a lot more things that I can talk about when it comes to the combat, when it comes to the gameplay, when it comes to what I like and everything. I think that even like Princess Zelda, some of the stuff that she can do in the game is really cool compared to like Mipha. She's kind of like the healer, to where she can kind of go through and heal, and she can do some nice air combos, and she uses water and everything. It is just dope how they've lined this up. So far so good. I'm going to be doing continuous content on Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, so expect more videos talking about some tips or some tricks that you might need to make sure that you check out or that you do in the game, some of my favorite combos or weapons to use in the game, some of my favorite missions. I'll be going through and just going over stuff that's like non-spoilers, nothing that's late game, anything like that. Maybe just going through and kind of having like KO challenges and stuff like that I'll be doing. So look forward to more Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity content on the channel here. And if you did enjoy this type of video, please make sure you hit that like button. I really would appreciate that. And check out my preview if you want to see some more of me talking about Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. I do have another one on there. So what do you guys think about the game so far? For those who are playing, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Check out the links in the description. We've got Twitter. Go and give us a follow on there. Stay up to date on all the latest gaming news and information. Also, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and share this video if you can. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll catch you for the next one. Peace.